Hey there, guys. It's Vampire Preacher. How are you guys doing today? Because I've got mixed reviews as to how I'm doing. I hope you're doing well out there. Stay awesome. So, if you can't tell by the title of this, which if you read the title you would already know, yeah, I don't have like Wave Marvel Legends. I don't have a wave of anything. I got a bunch of random figures that I kind of found. And because I don't know when the next wave's going to come in, if for a long time or not, here we are. We're going to be doing what they call a haul unboxing, which is just kind of a random assortment of crap that I found. So that's what today's unboxing is. That's what we're doing. We're just doing a bunch of random figures that I've found, that I've purchased. Some of them very recently, some of them not so recently, because we don't really get a choice right now. But hey, we'll make the best of it. You're here with me, I'm here with you. Let's unbox some toys, shall we? Let's do something for some normalcy in these weird, really weird ass times. Well, you're not going out anywhere. You know all about the channels, right? You know about the Twitch where you can see this live every Sunday at noon. You know about the Twitter where you get the notification for that, and of course you guys know about the YouTube channel, right? You know all about this YouTube channel. I keep on plugging this thing. You gotta know about it by now. That's right. This gets shortened up, memed up, and all this talking that I'm doing right now. You know, we've got a bunch of stuff today. We've got Overwatch. We've got Star Wars. We've got a Marvel Legend. The only one I could find right now. And we have a featured Disney Plus movie who recently got a new figure. Yes, she did. So, hopefully, there will be some good stuff here for you. But my first hashtag of the day was Overwatch. So, let me show you guys what I'm talking about here. Our first figure of the day is going to be High Noon. It's McCree. As you can see, we've got McCree. He's got the same kind of window pane front as we saw previously with the other Overwatch figures from a couple weeks ago. We've got our artistic rendering of McCree over here. We've got our various figures, one of which we will be seeing today. Along with our little background all about Jesse McCree all around the back. Now we grab out our opening tool.
It's a knife.
Pop this guy open for you real quick. Background to this is just like all the other Overwatch characters. It's just a basic orange background. Nothing to really write home about. Speaking of nothing to really write home about, we're kind of light on the accessories here, McCree. We're not quite as light as Tracer, but kind of light on the accessories. We've got 2 extra hands. McCree's pistol. We have 2 blaster effects. And we've got the man with no name himself. Now, a thing of note for everyone out there, the hat is not removable. It is glued directly onto his head. Don't go trying to remove that or you're going to break your new figure. All of these Well, canisters here are quite obviously detachable, as one of them was even off in the box. But you can have him wielding those as well, so that's kind of neat. Just trying to take a look at his hand here, seeing if this hand can even hold his pistol. Does not look like it. Does not look like a pistol holding hand to me. This looks like a pistol holding hand to me. I don't know if it was some kind of weird mistake that my McCree came with 2 pistol effects, but I am not going to complain. Last thing I'm going to do is complain about having more blaster effects. I'll take 2. Because they're a little bit bent up. But, yeah, there's his revolver with the blaster effect in effect. That one looks a little bent up. Let's see if we can... Actually, that one looks much nicer. That looks the way it should. So, hey, thanks Hasbro for the extra blaster effect. I'm not going to say no to that. I also do like, if you guys see, his pistol, or his holster over here, is actually hollow. So that means you can actually put his pistol in his holster. So that's going to be a nice thing. I always like when figures can organically hold their accessories. I know that's something Hasbro is trying to do for the new wave of G.I. Joe figures. So I'm very grateful, because I actually really like that as just a artistic concept, and as someone who doesn't like trying to put all of his accessories into little boxes or trying to keep the original boxes for them, that's kind of a nice thing. So, let's examine the articulation on this, as his own belt buckle says, BAF! Now, for his neck articulation, I'm gonna guess, oh yeah, that's about as bad as you'd expect it to be. With that with that mane of hair back here, and his man with no name poncho, he can barely move his head. Like, your up and down is non-existent. If you see it there, that's all you're getting. For his shoulder articulation, because of the poncho, he can't even T-pose. He can T-pose up with one arm, but the other arm is limited entirely by his soft goods poncho. He only has, as most of the Overwatch characters, he only has single jointed elbows, meaning that's all of the elbow articulation you're getting, and he has the standard in and out wrist articulation. Yeah, I'll be honest with you, it's a little weak. I do like his, I do like the robot arm here. There's some really cool detailing on it, but his articulation's a little bit weak. For his upper body, because he's got both the ab crunch and ab swivel, as all of the Overwatch figures do. He's a little bit loose, but we're getting that much back and forth on the ab crunch, or ab swivel rather, and that for just his ab swivel going back and forth. However, when we add in his ab crunch, we get a decent amount of backward movement and an alright amount of forward movement. I do like that the Overwatch characters have both the ab crunch and ab swivel, even if mine's a little bit loose here. It just gives him a little bit more range, dynamic range there. For his hip articulation, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. I'm I'm liking that hip articulation. All right. He, of course, has the thigh cuts for his double-jointed knees. Yeah, I was figuring, looking at the chaps here, ooh, that's barely a 90-degree angle. Ooh, McCree, you're not getting out of physical therapy with that knee. It ain't happening. Maybe it's just on his armored knee there. Nope, both of them are just as bad. All right. For his ankle articulation, what ankle articulation? He does have ankle cuts, it seems. So boot cuts inside of the leg here, because his ankles are pivoting in a way that normal rocker ankles don't. Or maybe he just has ankle pivots, because his ankles aren't going in any other direction. I guess they go a slight amount backward and forward, but I'm not sure if that's just play in the mold, or if that's an actual joint there. He also doesn't seem to have any side-to-side rock. Ooh. Eesh. You know what's sad? I really wanted to get McCree, too. I really did want this McCree figure. And yowza. That is some unfortunate articulation. Like, that is highly unfortunate. I mean, I could do some cool posing with him, but I could try and do cool posing with pretty much anything. Yeah, I can get him to fan the revolver so he's shooting it out as though it was his alt, but that's pretty much all I'm getting out of McCree is fanning his revolver. Ooh. So, McCree is coming in right at about just under 6¼ inches tall. And if I'm going to be honest with you guys, I'm disappointed. He comes with a few more accessories than Tracer did, who was my least favorite of the Overwatch characters from before. But he doesn't come with a lot more accessories. He's kinda rough, if I'm being honest. If I've got to give him a rating, he's a 4. The single-jointed elbows, the loose joints, the lack of rocker ankles, the lack of a removable hat. He's got some unique sculpt points to him, and that's cool, but he's just not doing it for me. Not the way I thought he would. Let's hopefully move on to better things in the same vein. For our next figure, we have... Because I messed up her name in my previous unboxing, and none of y'all told me. Which, by the way, I'm just going to say this. Y'all let me just sit here and make a damn fool of myself. You didn't try and correct me. You just saw it happening and said, yeah, you know what? I'm good with that. I'm good with that. Betrayal. It hurts. Hurts right here. So our next figure to make up for that betrayal is Zarya. As is, we at least have a second tank, so yay! Alright, enough of me talking. You don't want to hear me talk, you want to see the figure. So, let's get into it. So, we've of course got that window pane front, our artistic rendering of Zarya on the side, and on the back it's the same artistic rendering. We've got the other figures in it, we've got all of her background information, and the fact that we finally have a second tank. Hooray. Let's grab out our opening tool real quick. Pop her open. Oh! You guys, this is what I like to see. If you've got a box, you fill that box. And she fills that box beautifully.
Question.
What?
Are we not saying phrasing anymore? Which, that's fine, whatever, but if we're doing a new thing and nobody told me, that I'd have a problem with.
Look at this colossal gun. With this little orb reactor here, which is like a little plastic marble. And this giant energy effect blasting on out of it. I mean, this thing is... Oh, this is hefty. Now that... Since Doom is so popular right now, guess what? That's a big fucking gun. That's a BFG right there. Oh, love it. She comes with 2 additional fists, and that's exactly what they are. They're just fists. I know that one of her poses that she does is a Rosie the Riveter / Good Flex pose. Because, let's be honest here, my Good Flex is just the Rosie the Riveter pose. Y'all, I might be seeing something incredible here. We might actually have a reason to have those fists. We'll get into it in just a second. We've got the orange background here. I'm seeing something that is making me genuinely mad at Hasbro. This is a female figure, yes? I'm going to skip the head for right now because of what I'm seeing, so that y'all can see this with me. We're going to jump straight into her articulation because a female figure has bicep swivels. That's right. We have bicep swivels on a female figure and double jointed elbows. Can she? Oh, were it not for a little bit too much plastic, we'd have our first ever female giving us that good flex. There's a little bit too much. No, I don't want to see it. Get it out of here. It is this close. It is so close. She almost does it. Additionally, she's the only figure doing this for us. She doesn't have the standard in and out on both hands. She's got the standard in and out wrist articulation on both of her fists and on her left hand, but her right hand, it has the sword articulation. It's got the up and down sword articulation. So, double checking here. We have a female figure with bicep swivels, double jointed elbows, sword articulation, a bicep swivel, or not bicep swivel, a ab swivel here, even though her ab swivel can only go so far forward and so far back, but also an ab crunch to go along with that ab swivel, which gets her further forward and pretty far back. Hasbro. What the hell? You can give us all of these things that Marvel Legends creators have been begging for years on an Overwatch figure, but not on any female Legends. You go to your room and you think of what you did, Hasbro. You go to your room and think of what you did.
No!
For our neck articulation, getting back to that, a decent way down, and she can actually look up fairly well here, so that you can actually see what I'm looking at instead of seeing just her fists there. Decent way up, decent way down. It's not great either way, but it's something. It's there. For her hip articulation, it's there. It's not great. Other things that are here are, of course, every time she hears me on stream, our Nicoletta has to come up to see what's going on. Hopefully she can be a good girl. For our legs, we do have, of course, the thigh cuts here. Even though these are very, very tight thigh cuts. They do not like to be moved, like, at all. For our double jointed knees. Oof, these are gonna... Yeah, I could already tell these were gonna be tough. You know what? It's better than McCree. It's not good, but it's better than McCree. It's over 90 degrees, so there's that. Oof. That was rough sounding, I'm going to be honest with you. It just sounded rough. She does have rocker ankles on her, but that's all the movement we're getting out of them. Just that little bit of back and forth there. She does also have a boot cut here, so she can pivot her feet to the sides. That's as far forward as her foot is going, and that's as far back. You're not getting a ton of room out of her. As for how tall she is, because I'm not forgetting about that. Not for you guys. She is measuring in. Let's get her arm down so we can actually see. Zarya is coming in at over 6.5 inches tall. So she's the Game of Thrones out there, fans out there, she is the big woman. She is towering over McCree here. She looks intimidating. She looks buff. And you know what? I love it. I love how many good choices they made with this figure. Why weren't all the figures like this? Why didn't we get this kind of massive energy thing with... As I said in her review, Tracer is like the face of Overwatch. She got 2 little pew-pews and a set of guns, and no extra hands, and some of the worst engineering, except for her wide hips. We could have gotten, like, a Vamp type thing to show her doing her time reversal powers. But no. No, we didn't get that. We didn't get that at all. Zarya here, we get a huge gun with a huge energy blast. I mean, every part of this is... There's heft to this figure. I also wish that this figure's fingers would come apart here so that we could actually get her gun into her hand without breaking said gun. But yeah. I mean, look at this. Look at just how massive. I'm breaking this back out. I'm breaking back out the T-square. So that you all can see, when I say how massive this is, with gun, from the tip of the gun to the tip of the blast, is 10 inches. 10 inches. For just the blast on this colossal blaster. It is over. It's almost as tall as Tracer. It's over 5.5. It's 5 3/4 inches long for just the blast. This is colossal. For her gun, just her gun and her effect piece, it's as big as Reinhardt. It might even be bigger than Reinhardt for her gun and her effect piece. This is what we want, Hasbro. Give us this. Give us more of this. Good heavens, yes. Give me more of... Yeah, exactly this. I mean, jeez. Her with this colossal gun. With double jointed elbows. With the colossal energy effect. And yeah, I could have her just rocking out with this thing. Trying to stand firm while not tipping over because of how heavy her gun is. I mean, that's an awesome pose. That's a cool pose for a cool figure that is wonderfully articulated and has some great... There's great engineering that goes into this figure. Why were all of the Overwatch figures not Zarya? I'm mad at myself that this is the last figure I got. And probably the last figure that they're even making. This is perfect. This is the Overwatch figure to get. Seriously. Once they reopen, or if you're living in a region where Five Belows are still open, check them out. Go there. Find yourself a Zarya. For $5, this is so much fun. This is stupid fun, and I love it. Now, is she a perfect figure? No. Is she great for what she is? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. She's so good, I'm mad that Hasbro doesn't make more figures like her. Yeah, this is awesome. This can go next to your new G.I. Joe Roadblock, because they both have big ol' energy weapons. She's going to make Roadblock look tiny. This is an amazing figure. This is way better than this. Just in size. In value for your money, Zarya's your better figure. For rating, I'm going to give her a 7.5. No, you know what? I am. I'm going to give her an 8.
I can bench
She is
more than you.
fantastic. She is a ton of fun. She's a big muscle girl. She's going to go great next to that new She-Hulk that we got. She-Hulk that we got. It's a great figure. It's a great figure. And I want more engineering like this out of you, Hasbro. This sparks joy. This does not. Well, now I almost feel bad for the next figure that comes up. Well, those were all of the Overwatch figures for the day. That's clearly all that we're doing. No, I'm joking. That's not all that we're doing today. I'm not going to overuse that joke too much, because I know my editor always does the outro during that. Make it a very short outro there. For our next category of figure, we're going to do Star Wars. This is the shirt. Now we've got some highly looked for figures and some not so highly looked for figures. Honestly, I'm happy with all my decisions that I got these guys already, but let's see what we've got before we go jumping the gun. For our first figure, it's Cal Kestis. Now, if you've been playing Jedi Fallen Order, you already know all about this guy. Because I'm a big fan of Star Wars games, I grabbed him even before I had the game. Now that I've got the game, I like him. I like him alright. But let's get into what we've got here. So, we've got Cal Kestis here. We've got our background on Cal and how he escaped Order 66. And, of course, we've got his amazing faithful little droid there, BD-1. Let's get into what we've got. His background's just a very red, plain background. We're not really filling the box here, but I feel like he's going to make up for it. In the box, we've got, of course, his lightsaber, which does have a removable blade, I hope. Otherwise, I'm just pulling at something that's not supposed to... Oh, thank God it does. Yeah, we've got the lightsaber with the removable blade. Calg's very unique lightsaber. I always loved his lightsaber. I think it's really neat. We've got BD1 here, which... See, I was expecting BD1 to just be like a statue. He's not. So, bonus review! BD1 has neck articulation. That's as far down as he can look, and that's as far up. And of course, it's on a swivel. He has leg articulation. They're just posts, so they can go all the way back and all the way forward. And he has knee articulation. Only single jointed, but I think he makes up for it because he's just so darn small. Oh, and he has hip articulation as well. If you can see, hips go both in and out. So there, we even got a minifigure review. Go along with our Cal Kestis review. Now, he is probably going to be fighting my Darth Revan figure, only because they didn't really make figures for Jedi Fallen Order, with the exception of Cal here. Now, I could get just a very generic, basic Stormtrooper, but no. I'd rather have him doing something dynamic, like fighting Darth Revan, since they're both Star Wars game characters, so why not? And it's my display, I can do what I want.
Whatever, I do what I want.
4-hour articulation. Oof, that's all of his downward head articulation, and that's all of the upward head articulation. He's not looking down on those beneath him, or where he's jumping into before he gets slaughtered, nor is he looking up with high hopes of not getting slaughtered. This game is hard as nails. 4-hour shoulder articulation. We're getting a T-pose. We have no bicep swivels. We only have single jointed elbows. Which we're getting just above 90 degrees on, nothing fancy. We've got these sword cuts for his hands here, which makes for some dynamic posing while using a lightsaber. For his other hand... his other hand seems to have... Yes, the other hand is the standard in and out wrist articulation. He only has an ab swivel. So we've got a little bit of side to side on him. Not much. That's as far forward as he's going. And that's as far back. We've got no waist cut. So we've got the same kind of articulation on him as we do any female figure that Hasbro does. Which means to say that Hasbro just didn't care when they made this figure. For our hip articulation, we've got a decent range. It's not great, but it's not horrid. We've got, of course, the thigh cuts. We've got the double jointed knees. Now that's what I'm talking about, Cal. Yes, that's perfect. Granted, his legs are a little skinny, but that is perfect leg articulation. Give me more of that, Hasbro, please. You've got separate boots, but no boot cuts. Hasbro, you make some weird decisions. For his ankle articulation, we can go a disturbing degree in and a fairly painful degree out. We can also go a great deal forward for our ankles and can go almost on point back. And he is coming in at... I'm going to do both Cal and his little friend. Cal is coming in just at about an exact 6 inches. Maybe a hair under. Hair under exactly 6 inches. And BD1, well, fully extended, is coming in at just under 2. Yeah, just under 2 inches here for BD1. Now, as a figure, I'm pretty sure you guys know what I'm going to say about him, because I already said it. It shows very obviously that they did not put great care into this figure. There's some unique molding, and that's cool. I always like a good unique mold. But, man, his articulation sucks. That's the nicest way I'm going to put that. His articulation sucks. Yeah. Is he the worst figure I've reviewed in recent time? No. No, I have reviewed Tracer, so. And I've reviewed Squirrel Girl, so. No, he's definitely not the worst figure I've reviewed in recent time. Is he the best figure? Oh God, no. Oh no. No. If I've got to give him a rating, even with the cool little BD1, who can kind of collapse down, but not enough to sit on either his shoulder nor his back. There's no real place for BD1 to sit here for him like he does in the game. He's a 4. You know what? I'm going to give him a 4.5, and the extra half is because of BD1, because he's kind of a cute little droid. Beyond that, he's disappointing. Which is sad, because I was really looking forward to that figure. And here we are. Speaking of disappointing, anybody see The Last Skywalker? So, for our next figure, speaking of The Last Skywalker, we have Jenna. Now, Vamp, if you're speaking so low of Last Skywalker, why do you have this figure? Well, I'll be honest with you. I looked at her, I saw the hair, I saw the goggles that she's wearing, and said, even before the movie came out, that'd be a really cool cosplay for my wife. Or, it'd be really good custom fodder to make a figure of my wife. So there you are. Anyway, let's get into her, shall we?
Why are we not doing phrasing?
We've got our window pane front, our little blurb all about Jenna on the back. Inside, at least we've got more accessories than we had with Cal. The backing is just very plain, basic red backing. She's got a neat bow, which I always like a cool bow. I know archery myself in real life, so I try and collect as many archery characters as I can. Her neat little blaster here. A pack of arrows, along with a singular arrow, and the singular arrow even looks as though it's going to be able to fit into the bow. So that's kind of neat. You can actually have her queue up an arrow. There's a place for a string on here, They just didn't actually give you a string. Wonderful. Thanks, Hasbro. Really. Thanks a lot.
Not.
We also have our quiver here. Which the quiver has 2 little pegs on it so that you can kind of move it as you see fit. Store your arrows in it. And then we've got the figure herself. Once she decides to come out of the packaging. I think this is going to be another case where popping the head off. Huh. The head's not popping off real easy, so I don't know if you could pop the heads off of Star Wars characters, and honestly, I don't want to find out and end up ripping her head off. That would be kind of terrible. Once again, they've got the foresight to say, hey, we've got an accessory here. Let's give you a Hulkster that'll actually hold said accessory. So that your figure can hold all of the accessories that they come with all at once. Hooray! The cape is soft goods on here. It's not really doing anything. It's just kind of there. Which could be said for a lot of the Last Skywalkers. It's just there. For our articulation, got some alright downward neck articulation, some okay back. I don't see an actual neck joint in here, so I'm going to assume that she's just on a ball peg. Which is what's limiting our neck articulation to just that. Love the hair. That's a beautiful sculpted just mess of hair there. For the shoulder articulation, oh come on now, are we not even going to get a T-pose out of you? We're getting just about a T-pose. Apparently they put her elbow in backwards in the packaging because it was a very sharp elbow sticking out, and it's actually a very sharp elbow if you bend her single jointed elbow. If you can't see, it's just a bunch of plastic sticking out there. But yes, there are also single jointed elbows, which is horrible for an archer character, as you can see here, she can only get her elbow a little bit past 90. Not much, just a tiny bit. Though she does have the up and down sword cut, which is kind of nice. At least on the one hand, and on the other, she has the standard wrist cut. We only have... We've got a ab swivel here, but I will give them credit. They hit it very well. You can't even see it because of the belt here. That doesn't mean it's great, but at least it's hidden. That's all of our side-to-side articulation. That's all of our forward articulation. And all of our backward articulation. And either way, it's leaving weird bulges in the plastic as she bends. That's not grand. For our hip articulation, she's okay. Not as good as McCree, but better than Zarya, so... She, of course, has the thigh cuts. For our double-jointed knees. Again, the best thing I can say about both Star Wars characters is their knee joints go all the way back, so that you can actually have them in a more natural pose. If your knees can't go all the way back, you can't, like, kneel. And that's just how it is. You can't kneel if your knees can't go all the way back. No boot cuts or anything like that, but she does have rocker ankles, which can go a incredibly disturbing degree out, or in an incredibly disturbing degree out. They can go... They should be able to go quite some degree forward, but they're just a little stiff for me right now. They're going all the way on point back, although leaving a weird bulge here, as they do. Going forward... They're not going forward as much as they look like they should be able to, which is weird. Maybe it's something with the sculpt inside of the joint there. If you can see that little slab of red there. Yeah. How is she measuring up? She's a little bit less than 6 inches, amazingly. She's only coming in at just over 5.5 inches to the top of her hair, which means if you stand her next to someone like Zarya, she's going to be easily dwarfed by Zarya. You all probably even know what I'm going to say before I say it with this figure. They phoned it in. They phoned in this figure something hard. And it disappoints me. It disappoints me tremendously. As I saw this character on the shelves and immediately said, that's a cool looking character. Before the movie came out, I got this figure. I got this character long before the movie ever was in theaters. Because of the character's design and how cool my wife would look in a cosplay of a archery character that she can be confident people aren't going to be giving her all kinds of guff for because, oh, well, that character doesn't look like... Listen, if you're going to be that way about cosplay, you're the problem. This character, though, this figure, just trying to pose her for archery is awkward. I mean, look at it. Just look. That's the look of a company that didn't care when they made the figure. They just made. They didn't care about what they were making. They just put out something because they had to. She's a 4. The only reason why she's not lower is at least she's got a unique design with a bunch of accessories, like the quiver, the bow, the stringable arrow, but no string on the bow. She'd be a 3 if it weren't for the fact that she's at least a unique-looking character. Beyond that, Hasbro, you know that Star Wars is one of your big money makers, right? Then stop phoning it in. Just stop.
Get some help.
Collectors are going to stop collecting your shit if you keep on phoning it in. Outright. Let's move on to something that might make us happier. Let's try and move on to something that everyone in Star Wars can get behind. After all, this is the way. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got him. The Mandalorian. So, let's see what we've got. Now, this figure is not the carbonized Mandalorian. It is the beginning of Season 1 Mandalorian when he's first premiered. We've got our window pane front and our little snippet all about the Mando on the back. Inside, we don't have a whole lot more than what you could see from outside. We've got a pistol, we have his rifle, and we've got the Mando himself. Now, I am a big fan of Mandalorians in Star Wars. And I just recently watched the entire run of the show. Because what else do I have to do right now? I have a question while looking here. Now, maybe I didn't notice it in the show, but I could have sworn he had the rangefinder that every other Mandalorian does on their helmet.
Nope.
And of course, they're not showing us what he looks like under the mask. That wasn't until much later in Season 1. Again, piece of something good. A credit, if you will, is for the pistol blaster. We've again got a spot to put that so that we can display our Mando with all of his accessories. Also looks like... Oh, there is! That's neat! Okay. So, I didn't notice this before, but there is indeed. There's a peg on our blaster and a peg on our Mandalorian's back. So, if we so choose to, we can even... Although the hole on the strap and the hole on the back weren't lining up at first. Yes. We can even display him with the rifle on his back. Actually kind of a cool display. Not gonna lie, I kinda like that a lot. I kinda like that a whole lot. I like that way more than I should. Getting into our articulation for his head. Oh, we are on a separate neck joint, as you can see from the fact that he's doing the Cusco neck, unlike with Janna. So, at least that's a thing in his favor. He can look down all right, and can look up actually decently well. He's got the poncho problem the same as McCree did. For his shoulder articulation, we're getting a T-pose out of him. We also have the single jointed elbows. It did seem like as I was trying to do that, he's got a forearm cut. I wouldn't have even noticed this if it didn't happen as I was trying to move him. He has a forearm cut. That's very unique. He also obviously has the up and down wrist articulation, at least on his right hand. On his left hand, yep, we've got the in and out. He's got a ab swivel, which is getting us this much side-to-side movement. He's going just a little bit forward and an alright degree back. Now, I will say the peg on this is much longer than the hole for keeping his blaster in place, or his rifle, rather, in place. So it doesn't really like to stay when you're putting it there. Hopefully it'll stay better on display when I'm not moving him around as much. For our hip articulation, actually he's doing better than I thought he would. I thought it'd be a lot worse with the Hulkster here, but if anything, it's his left leg that's not going up as high. Probably because of this bit here on... Yeah, there we go. That's what we're talking about. Which It's not bad. We, of course, have our thigh cuts as well. Our double jointed knees, which can go almost all the way back. It's not quite as good as Calg's or Jana's. I know I've pronounced her name like 3 different ways. Honestly, I forget how it's pronounced. We do not have any kind of boot cut. We do have rocker ankles, though, which can go a disturbing degree in, absolutely painful degree out. A decent way forward, and can go all the way on point back. As for the height of old Mando here, because his rifle is covering up the numbers, he's coming in at just under 6. I mean just under, just a hair under 6. Kind of short. Aren't you a little short to be a Mandalorian? Honestly, though, he's decently fun. Is he a fantastic figure? I'm not going to lie to you and say yes. Is he decently fun? Yeah. Does he need a certain accessory? Where's that Baby Yoda at? I know that they're going to be releasing a Black Series Baby Yoda all on his own. But honestly, he could have had a version of Baby Yoda with him. Honestly, it could have happened. As for a rating on him, now granted, I'm a little bit biased because I adore Mandalorians. They are actually my favorite Star Wars race in total. Above Jedi, above Sith, Mandalorian. Mandalorian above all. I want to give him a 6, but I don't know if he's genuinely deserving of a 6. Hear me out. He's a neat figure and all, from a cool, relevant show. But is he a fantastically engineered figure? I don't care. I'm giving him a 6. He's fun. He's fun. He's a fun figure. I'm gonna have some fun displaying him. I'm gonna put him with my Boba, my Jango, my prototype Boba. I like Boba Fett. What can I say? I like Mandalorians in general, so having another one is just gonna be icing on the cake. So yeah. Yeah. I like him enough. He's gonna be a 6. He is more the way than the last 2, that's for sure. Speaking of the Mandalorian, we can't have Mando without Cara. So, since she's here anyway, let's get into her. So, of course, we've got our window pane front and our snippet all about Cara Dune on the back. Inside, she honestly has a few more accessories than even the Mando. Now, I do not have the Heavy Mandalorian yet. I wish I could find the Heavy Mandalorian. But he is a tough figure to find. Because, of course, everybody loves Boba Fett. Everybody loves Mandalorians. You give a Mandalorian a minigun and people are going to go nuts. She also comes with a rather tiny blaster. Her knife, which I'm trying to get out of the package. Notice they've got some tape over it. And of course, her rather heavy blaster here. The strap arm top here is making it very difficult to put the blaster into the bolt. A little bit of caveat. Just take a second. I'm trying to find it out. The question is, what about the knife? I don't know where you're enough. That was a good thing. I've seen that. I actually saw it. Oh, yeah, there's a straight here. And you can see there's a little slot right here in the boot. The knife. Oh, look at that. If I can see there's just the smallest little groove in there. Look at that knife. Oh, that's cool. I've also given an amazing job with face scanning on this figure. Of course, that's not folks. It looks close. Yes, I give them credit. That's the face scanning. Let's get into our articulation. For our neck. It can look up a slight amount. It can look down. Can look down a little bit. I'm not seeing any additional neck joint here, and that's odd, actually. Her neck joint isn't up here, it's down here. As you can see when I do this, it's moving from the base of the neck here. Odd choice, but makes it so she can look down a little bit better. Just kind of an odd choice is all. For her shoulder articulation, can get us into a T-pose, alright. For her single jointed elbows, we're getting a little bit better than 90 degrees. Not a lot, but a little. She does have the up and down sword cut for her right arm, and for her left, she's got, of course, the in and out. She does have a swivel, which can go a decent degree back and forth. Forward, she's going that far, and backward, that's all we're getting. It's the problem with waist swivels is they don't have a lot of range to them. For our hip articulation, it's better than Zarya, but it's not fantastic. But it's there. We've of course got the thigh cuts, the double jointed knees, which go a fairly decent degree back, not all the way, but close enough. For our ankle articulation, we have a disturbing degree in, a painful degree out, a fair deal forward, and all the way on point back. As for how she measures up to the other characters, she is coming in at just about 5.5 inches. I think that actually makes her the shortest character today. And again, just for a little bit of a comparison here with our tallest character thus far today. Here she stands next to Zarya, who looks like a giant next to her. All in all, what do I think of Cara Dune? Well, I think that they put more care into this figure than they did into both Jaina and into Cal. I think they put a lot more care for her than they did into either one of them. Honestly, it shows that they put more care into her. Trying to get her to hold down to that little bit up on top here. Yeah, it definitely shows they put more care into Kara than they did into either one of those other figures. She looks good. She looks good with Mando. Let's hit them. Yeah, she's shorter than Mando, but she's shorter than Mando in the show. So, yeah, actually, they look good together. Get the little baby Yoda here and get the whole family. Get the whole family together. The whole begrudging family. I'm probably going to take the picture of the two of them with the blasters pointing at each other's heads and little baby Yoda in the back sipping the bone broth. They're fun. Honestly, if you get the Mandalorian, get the Cara Dune to go with him. They're a fun set to have. I'm going to give Cara as a rating. You know what? She's another 6. She's not fantastic. She's got some things that could definitely be improved, but the little detail of the knife holster being just literally a slot in her boot. I'm stupid. I didn't even look. I didn't even check. She has boot swivels, y'all. She has boot cuts. I didn't even check on her, because no one else has had them. So I didn't even check and see. Yeah, she's got boot cuts. I'm a lot more confident in saying she's a 6 now. Yeah, she's a solid 6. There's some good engineering here. I almost want to give her a 7. They made a well-engineered figure. I'm actually rather impressed. I like everything they did here. It doesn't feel phoned in. It feels like a well-thought-out figure. I'm happy with it. I'm very happy with this action figure. I'm happy to pose her next to the Mando, along with all my other Mandalorians, and even a Baby Yoda figure, once he comes out. She's fun, and honestly, if you can get her and the Mandalorian himself, do. They're a perfect display piece. The two of them together, come on. You can't go wrong with that. It's just fun. It's the most fun Star Wars that we've had today. Well done. Well done, Hasbro. Speaking of Disney Plus, you know, there's a movie on Disney Plus right now. I, personally, am a huge fan of. I grew up loving this film. It was one of my personal favorites when I was a child. I watched it again, and honestly, it is a steampunk wonderland that I adore. Is it the most thrilling movie ever? No. Is it good fun? Yeah. Who doesn't love good fun? Ladies and gentlemen, The Rocketeer. I know there are so many jokes about people who like The Rocketeer. You know what? It's a fun movie, and it's got some steampunky goodness. There's a fight on a Zeppelin. You can't get much more steampunk than that, and a steampunk jetpack with a brass helmet with a fin on it. Come on. You can't have more fun than that. So, let's get into it, shall we? So, ladies and gentlemen, from Diamond Select, we've got The Rocketeer. I promised you in my Twitter post that there would be Disney Plus content, and there was, both with The Mandalorian and with The Rocketeer. So, we've got our window pane front showing us all of our goodies inside of here, and we've got the back telling us all about The Rocketeer and pretty much the plot of the movie, along with some of the ways to display your Rocketeer figure. Alright, let's get into it now, shall we? Now that we've sawed our way around it. 2 trays. And the backing on here is just that kind of pulpy looking 50s-esque sunburst without there being a sun. Now on tray number 2, before we get into the primary tray, on tray number 2 we've got this jetpack effect here. And we have, of all things, a pack of the plans for the backpack. For the rocket-powered jetpack. I mean, it's just one piece in here. It's not even multiple pieces. It's just one piece of that printed on a small piece of cardboard. Yes, we've got blueprints for it, for that scene when they were talking about how the jetpack was designed and doing the alterations to it. We've also got a different chess piece here, which I know I'm personally a fan of. 2 different effect pieces for the jetpack. Our helmet, which it appears as though it's not a helmet that goes over the head that we've got. It is a separate head, which will just pop on in place of this head. I happily will, because that is a terrible face sculpt. A diamond. I am ashamed at y'all. You all have such good sculpts for so many things, and this is the head sculpt that you gave us for this iconic Disney film. Oof. That is a big ol' oof. And yep. There's the other chest piece, which leaves 2 gaping holes in his chest. That's fun. We're going to see if we can't get him out of here without breaking all these zip ties they put their figures in for some reason or another. And the answer is no. So if you'll give me one moment with my opening tool. There we are. And we also have 3 extra sets of hands. Now, you know what I'm noticing we don't have, and what we really need to have? A broom handle Mauser. Where's my man's gun? You gave us a hand without the gloves. You gave us a gun-holding hand. Along with a... I don't know what to call this. A fiddling the bits hand? I'm not sure. And for the opposite side, we've got another ungloved hand. We have a punching hand. And we've got another gripping hand? I don't know what to make of those. I'll be honest with you guys, I have no idea what to tell you about that. It's as much of a mystery to me as it is to you. But, since we've already seen him with the one chest piece, let's see the way I wear most of my jackets. Yes, that is significantly better. Oh yes, that is a much better look. Yes, I like that very much, so thank you. Of course, with the jetpack here, the star of the show, literally, we can, of course, put the effect pieces there if you have a flight stand, so that you can have him flying high. Or because they gave us the effect piece for it, and honestly, it's just kind of a neat effect, which has a core I didn't even realize until I saw. There's actually a core of 2 pieces of metal that stick all the way through to the bottom here to make it so that it is a solid piece. It's not going to bend over time. You can just kind of display him taking off, and of course we'll get into the articulation on him. Actually, we might as well do that right now. Getting all of our pieces out of the way. It seems like all of our extra hands here have the standard in and out wrist articulation. Yeah, they've all got the standard in and out wrist articulation here. For our neck articulation, you can look down an alright degree and look up somewhat, but not nearly as much as we need him to. Let's take the... Oh, that's why. Look at that abysmal ball peg. First of all, look at that face. That is a terrible face sculpt. But let's pop on the head that he'll be displayed with. The only head he'll be displayed with. And see, it's got a decent degree down, and oh, it's got a much better degree of backward neck articulation. It's not perfect. He needs to be able to look all the way up in order to kind of direct himself. After all, as it's stated in the movie, this is a rudder to change direction. So he needs to be able to look all the way up with that. That's a little bit rough there. For our shoulder articulation, we're getting a T-pose out of him. We've got bicep swivels. And, of course, we've got double-jointed elbows that are giving us, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time today, we actually got it. Most of our figures today only had single-jointed elbows, with the exception of Zarya. Up until now, we've got that good flex, baby. Well done. And as I've already stated, all of our hands have that standard in and out wrist articulation. I'm very curious what the difference is between that hand and this hand. Is it just more together? It seems like it's just the fingers are more together on that hand. They're more spread apart on this one. It's just a little bit odd. Do we have any kind of... No! We have no ab articulation whatsoever. We have no torso articulation on this figure. Nothing. This is a solid brick of a torso. Wow. Wow. That's... not even a swivel. Wow. That's disappointing. For our hip articulation, it's a diamond select, so of course he's going to be able to put his legs out all the way in a perfect split, but it's going to look real weird as you do it. He does not have thigh articulation up here. He's got it right here above the knee. That's a little bit odd, but alright. Speaking of, he only has single jointed knees. No boot cuts. For his ankle articulation, we've got the rocker ankles that can go a decent degree in a pretty disturbing degree out. Can go a bit forward and can go pretty much on point back. It's not quite all the way back on point, but it's close. Now, before we try and do some posing with him, let's find out what he's measuring in at. Now, with his Rocketeer head, his Rocketeer helmet head here, he's coming in at just about 6.5 inches. With his unhelmeted head, if you were to have his helmet in his hand, which, honestly, looking at this head sculpt, why would you ever do that? He's coming in about 6.25. The Rocketeer helmet is a little bit taller. And, of course, because he's a Diamond Select, he's closer to the 7-inch mark than he is the 6-inch mark. But, honestly, I'm fine with having him in display with my Marvel Legends. I'm fine with that. I love Rocketeer. Now that you hold your pleasure, I want to cosplay Rocketeer. I really want to cosplay at some point. And you know what? I'm going to have to just that. It's fun. Now let's pop off this helmet. Give it instead. And I'm sure I can make sure we're going to have somewhere in the meantime. Remember, we'll have to do. I do actual posing. Think about what am I doing for Hellraiser. I think that this will make for a fine display. Oh yes. Oh yes, it will. And there's also these to use for whatever. I'm not going to use them for anything, just like I'm not going to use this god-awful unmasked head for anything. He's fun. He's fun. I like the figure. Again, I like the character, and I got it mostly as a character model so that I can make a cosplay off of him. Because I've got the jacket, I've got the boots, I need to get pants, I need to make a backpack. And I'm already in the process of making the helmet. Because I really want to cosplay the Rocketeer one of these days. It was a favorite movie of mine as a kid. So, yeah. I like it. For my official review of it, is it the perfect figure? No. It has no torso articulation whatsoever. That's a huge damning thing. Why would you do that? Sure, you gave us 2 torso plates. That's great, but make it so that he can kind of bend over to the side while holding his gun here and looking off all, again, pop comic-y. You gotta do something, because his articulation's kind of crap. He's got the good flex, and that's great, but he's got single-jointed knees, the weirdest cut for thigh cuts I've ever seen. No boot cuts, even though he's got separate boots. His neck joint's a mess, and the lack of torso articulation. Oh, and the fact that you didn't give him Diamond Select. You took a character who has an iconic weapon and you didn't give it to him. You are essentially giving us a Jedi without a lightsaber. Why? Why would you give us a Jedi with no lightsaber? Why would you give us a Mandalorian without a blaster? You wouldn't. You wouldn't. You wouldn't give us Thor without Mjolnir or Stormbreaker. Why would you give us the Rocketeer without a broom handle Mauser? Why? It's baffling decisions like that that make this go from a highly rated figure to between this god-awful head, his lack of a gun, his lack of any torso articulation, he goes down to a 5 when he should have been a 9. Just from the effect pieces alone, this figure could have been a 9. You made him into a 5. Because of some bad ideas. And frankly, Diamond, you should be ashamed. You should be ashamed. Between this and your Castlevania figure, I don't know which one you should be more ashamed of. Because you lied to us with the Castlevania figures. With this one, you had some good stuff, but you phoned in the rest of it. And that sucks. If you improve on this head anytime soon, make it look not like this, let me know. Am I saying not to get the figure? No. If you're a big fan of the Rocketeer, get the figure. If you're a big fan of steampunk or that pulp neo-noir look of things, get the figure. If you're a fan of weird, odd pulp comics from back in the day, like I am, and having someone punch a Nazi in the face, that's what the Rocketeer does. He punches Nazis in the face. It's just what he does as a character. Get him. If those aren't your... If that's not your deal, then... well, no one's forcing you to buy him. Well, that wraps it up for today. That's going to be absolutely everything. There's not going to be... Wait, didn't I promise you guys something else in the tweet? I said Overwatch. I said Star Wars. I said Disney Plus. Something or another about a Marvel something this channel's known for. I don't know what you're talking about. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We've got one last figure for the day. And I can already tell you, my editor's already going to be saying that catchphrase of mine already. Because I can tell you, from holding him in my hands, he is a big, beefy boy. And that is the Red Hulk. Yes, I found him. It was not easy, but I found him.
Maniacal laugh. Maniacal laugh.
You can imagine the fire in the background to him is the same thing going on right here. As this was not an easy character to find. This was not an easy figure to find, but I'm really happy I did. So, enough of me talking. Let's get into what we've got here. We've got our window pane front. We've got our animated rendition of the Red Hulk on the side. We've got our photography of Thunderbolt Ross on the back. And our little blurb right here all about Thunderbolt Ross transforming into the Red Hulk. Now, would I have loved to have seen a secondary head for this figure that had a mustache and aviators? Why, yes, I would. Thank you for asking. But I'll take what I've got. His background is, it's just fire. His background is, it's just fire. It's nothing but fire. Only fire lives here now. He comes with 2 extra hands, so that we've got a gripping hand and a punching hand for both sides. And those are all of his accessories. I had to plop him down there like that so that you guys could see just how hefty this boy is. He a big boy. Oh, this is a big ol' Hulk figure. This is a big ol' mass of Hulk, and I love it. I did not get the Build-A-Figure of Red Hulk back in the day. Even though I've got a couple of figures from that wave, I didn't get the whole Build-A-Figure. So, when they said, hey, we're releasing a single-pack Red Hulk that is bigger than my colossal hands, I was very happy. He wasn't a Build-A-Figure. He was just a, hey, come and get him. You want this build-to-figure size dude? $30. I said, alright. No problem. Let's get into the articulation on this big, beefy boy. For our neck articulation. He can look down a decent degree. Not great, but decent enough. And looking up, wow, that was it. Did you miss it? Let's do it again in slow-mo. That's it. That is all of his backward neck articulation. He has none. He cannot look up at all. He can look down alright, but he cannot look up. He does have... he does have a set of butterfly shoulders on him, though. So he can get those arms way back for a hell of a punch. Alright. Alright, Thunderbolt. For his shoulder articulation. That's all we're getting. It's not even a T-pose. He's got too much mass here. He's just too big and beefy to go any further. Now, this is a weird thing. He's got a bicep swivel, but if y'all are seeing this, his bicep is swiveling on its own without turning anything else. It's just kind of... That's weird, right? But he does have a bicep swivel. He's got that single jointed elbow, but that's all he's got is a single joint in his elbow. Also, just like Jana there, a very weird bit of plastic here sticking out in just a sharp angle. Maybe I didn't have his elbow at the right, or his bicep turned correctly to get it up more. No, that's everything. He also has some in and out wrist articulation, but it's not great. He's got a torso swivel, an ab swivel if you will, where that is all the way side to side or either side of him. That is his forward. There. We'll get that out of the way. That's as far forward as he's going. And that's as far back. It looks like he can give you one hell of a flying elbow drop, but that's about it. He does have a waist cut. For our hip articulation. Alright. That's some decently wide hips. We've of course got the thigh cut here. The double jointed knees. Oof. Thunderbolt Ross. That's barely 90 degrees. You're not getting out of a knee replacement surgery with that. They're going to send you back for more therapy, my friend. For his ankle articulation. He's got the rocker ankles, which can go a decent degree in and alright degree out. A little bit forward, but pretty much all the way on point back. Which means, with getting him all the way on point back, you can get him into a pose as though he is just leaping at you, or leaping at whoever. You know, I kind of like that. Just him flying through the air, about to pummel the bejesus out of the Hulk. I kind of like that. That kind of works for me. So, how does he measure up? Well, I'm going to tell you this. He's going to be our biggest figure of the day. That's for certain. Now, if only I could remember where I put our T-square friend. There it is. Ooh. That is over 8 inches tall. That is 8 1/4 inches of just angry Hulk. You know, I mentioned just how short Cara Dune was. That is Cara Dune compared to the Hulk. I mentioned how large Zarya was. That is Zarya compared to our Red Hulk. She might have been a big ol' Amazonian snoo woman, but Hulk here. He looks like he is going to pick up Peter Parker like his abusive ex-boyfriend. That's a comic reference for you. All in all, what do I think of this Red Hulk? I love him. Is he the greatest? No, he's not. He's got some weird engineering to him. You gotta have the elbows at a certain degree, otherwise there's a piece of plastic popping up. They're not double-jointed elbows with weird bicep things that are just kind of hanging. They're just kind of like hovering. They're just like separate pieces of plastic. That's weird. No ab crunch, just an ab swivel. No neck articulation at all. Like it's there, but is it really there? That being said, for the price, for $30 for this big old beefy boy, he is a great figure. If you did not get the previous Build-to-Figure, he's the only other way to get Red Hulk. Unless you got that Build-to-Figure from way back in the day. I didn't. And honestly, with the butterfly joints here, the butterfly shoulders, I actually kind of like this one a little bit better. Now granted, I only have a couple pieces of that Red Hulk, but I kind of like this one better. He's just got a little bit more to him. He's a little bit more fun. In the end, that's what I really want, is to have fun with a figure, and he's fun. He's gonna look great grappling with my Hulk. He's fun. What more can I say, but he's fun. He's an 8.
Welcome to the gun show.
He's an 8. He is some of the most fun I've had with a figure today. Just based on pure size. Based on everything that we got with him. He was a ton of fun. So, now, no joke, no scam. That brings us to the end of our stream today. We have looked over quite a few figures, as you can see, because we're putting them all out here for you to take a look at with them side by side. We are looking at just whatever we had, really, because it's a crazy world out there right now. And I hope, at the end of the day, that if you tuned into my stream, or if you're watching us on YouTube, this is going to be the most heartfelt I'm probably ever going to get with you guys. I hope that you're doing well. I hope that you're staying safe. And I hope that my little slice of madness, my humble little toy stream, brought a little bit of joy to your life. Something to take your mind off of the gloom and doom going on right now. I know we might joke about the situation. I know I share my fair share of memes about the situation going on right now, because we need to have that humor to make us not as disturbed by what's going on. Gallows humor and fatalist humor is something that's been going on for a very long time. It's not something new. It's not something that millennials invented. It's been around for a while. And it helps people cope with a bad situation. So, to those of you out there that are watching me either live now or through the upload to YouTube later, take care of yourselves. Be safe. Tell your loved ones that you love them. It's a crazy time that we've got right now, but hopefully something as silly as some action figures can make you smile. Thank you very much for joining me, everyone. Have a great day. Keep it nerdy. And have a nice one.